Hi, my name is Jos Smolders, and this is Thursday Afternoon Talks, a series of weekly discussions I have with Frans de Waard about an album, an artist, a label, a genre, or another something musical. Frans, this time we discuss a new album by Strafe Für Rebellion, released by Aufabwegen, the famous German label. Did you already review it for Vital Weekly?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And what was your opinion?
I'm a long-time fan, so it's very hard for me to be negative about it. There's some minor criticism that I will come to. I'm not sure when I first heard Strafe Für Rebellion. It must be in the 80s. And I think through our mutual friend Peter Duimelings, who had all the records that I didn't have. And I think one of them was Santa Maria, the album.
Oh, yeah.
Touch. And Strafe Für Rebellion come from Düsseldorf, which is not far away from the city of 's-Hertogenbosch, where V2 was. And Strafe Für Rebellion are two men, Bernd Kastner and Siki Tsinyuka, and they regularly came to these events. And they also, I think, had an installation there. I'm not sure if they ever played concert in a more traditional sense of the word. And so I remember once talking to one of the very polite, very German, very intelligent guys, and I was trying in my best high school German to talk with them. I had no idea what they were telling me. So, and in the 90s, of course, there were a couple of CDs on Stahlplaat. And I am not sure. I was thinking about this if they ever came to our office to talk about the forthcoming releases or not. So yeah, I've always kept, and I always liked their music, which was in the 80s sort of their own version of post-punk without
Absolutely.
without
It was a bit,
being
there. It was post-punk, at least from my perspective, but also more aimed at the art scene.
It definitely wasn't a part of the Neue Deutsche Welle.
No,
I would say so. They were totally apart from that. And in fact, that they had an installation at V2, probably at other, made them more arty. Yeah,
it tells a lot about what they were aiming for. That's true.
Yeah. And the records they are still designed by
John
Rosenkropf from Touch. And I have one of these. I have here Lufthunger, which is hungry for air, and it's a big
fold out.
I think it's called a Liberello, and it has all of these interesting things about. Every track is called after a geological area,
right?
And then it says with every track, it says, for instance, church organ, piano treated with glass, different guitar played with violin bows, acoustic guitar treated with violin bow, etc. And a small schematic. It's very hard.
Yeah.
The schematic.
Right.
And this I found very fascinating. It was, of course, 30 years ago, in a time I was way more interested in doing visual and graphic scores.
Right.
Myself. So, I believe there haven't been a lot of records. There was a considerable time gap in their releases. They 6 years ago or so, 5 years ago, they returned, and they have two. Last two records were on Aufabwegen. Octagon Sphere and Soundless Sphere. Yeah.
Soundless Sphere, yeah. And there was in 2018 there was The Bird Was Stolen album on Touch.
I always Strafe Für Rebellion is one of those groups that you never know what they want. I was playing this record and thinking it's very complex. It's very a lot happening at the level. And yet it also sounds quite accessible. Almost as if they tried their own Wicked Guide to Pop. That's my.
It's rhythmic, all right. That's true. Yeah. Let's listen to a track. I think Tank 20 is a good track to get a better impression of the album. It's 12 minutes and 27 seconds, but let's do a take out of that.
Yeah.
I must confess that I have not been following Strafe Für Rebellion a long time. I knew their name. I occasionally heard some of their music. So when you proposed to discuss this album, I went into their back catalog and I listened to a lot of tracks because almost everything they released is available on Bandcamp, of course. And the general idea is that they're like sort of soundscape like tracks or part of tracks, and there are these loopy things with various instruments and treated instruments and edited digital recordings of instruments. I think that to me their old catalog, the things that they did in the 80s and the 90s was much more, had more urgency than what I heard in these, especially in this latest Octagon Sphere release, because it was more clearly themed. Their releases, especially that Lufthunger, where you were talking about. That's the one where they where each track has the name of a geological time period, and in that sense, it's the other ones are, and especially this last one is much more collage-like, where it jumps from one sphere into the other. And to me that was in my first impression was that it was a bit chaotic, in the sense that I did not understand why they were moving suddenly from one sound into another one. But
maybe it's about, maybe it has to do with, I'm not sure, but the old stuff being recorded analog, and this new work is digital, so
absolutely
different set of opportunities to make other choices that you would not make,
of course,
as easily with analog equipment.
It's true.
I must say I like that chaos. I like that. Especially because there's also rhythm, or a sense of rhythm.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
That keeps it together or not. You're not sure, and that's what I like about this. Is also music that is not one thing or another.
No. But
it's very
interestingly, what you say about, of course, it's true that when you have different instruments and different instrumentation, that the way you work and you produce music changes, and with that, the main difference that I hear between the earlier work and now is that it's much more intricate. I mean, in the sense that there's much more sense of detail, and sounds are more brighter and more detailed. And the earlier works were indeed, they really sound analog, and when you can hear that they use these old samplers already in the late 80s. But it's still, I mean, these new albums, like the one, also the Bird Was Stolen, but also Soundless Sphere and Octagon Sphere, they still have a clear relationship with the stuff that they did in the 1980s, in the sense of how they feel, as it were. Don't you think?
Yes, especially in the use of with female voices. That is always seems to be sort of thing that always comes back. They always come back to that.
Yeah,
which again makes it more musical, perhaps, than the stuff we usually talk about.
Well, yeah, but I mean, these vocals are only sparsely present.
Yeah, I mean, it also gives music a bit more poetic because I don't know.
Absolutely.
These vocals, what they are about, I have no idea.
Yeah, no.
I'm not even sure if they are in a language or if they are just vocalizations or
vocalizations.
So but that's something that I enjoy. It's but I like the chaos that create.
Yeah.
And still, somewhere in the back of my mind, maybe this is my mind doing that. There is some sort of organization going on.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I mean,
what I miss though on these last releases is the sort of context that they gave with the old stuff. If I read in the information that they, let me see, where is it? It's also about science, history, philosophy, mass media, popular culture. That's not something I can figure out from this last album or the one before that.
No, that's a bit the problem I had as well. If you listen to the music without reading the liner notes, that's one thing, and the liner notes give some context, especially in their older releases. That's happening, and it's also what you see in this Lufthunger. In the cover of that, but in these latest, especially Octagon Sphere, I mean the liner notes are maybe 100 words at the most. And that's about it. Octagon Sphere is the sister release to last year's CD Soundless Sphere. That's what is told. And when you go to the liner notes of Soundless Sphere, maybe you get 200 words of at the most.
Yeah.
So that's.
You
really have to guess about what it's all about.
Yeah, that makes it perhaps more just another record.
Yeah,
which is
at face value. But I mean, when I read a quote from the liner notes, the duo emphasized that they not only explore the world of music, but also incorporate elements of knowledge and thus all usable influence into their experiments. Working plans, storyboards, and compositional schemas usually serve as the basis for new musical projects.
Yeah. Where is it? You ask. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I can't. Yeah. But when I read that, I'm curious. I want to know more. And that's not what the only thing I have is to return to the music, and then it gets a bit complicated.
Yeah. It's a pity. Yeah.
Yeah. But in the end, I mean, I think that all in all, I think for people who like this kind of music, this album is pretty good. And you as a longtime fan, I think you agree with that.
Yeah,
that's.
It's not the best. No. The best is, sadly more.
I really liked The Bird Was Stolen, which was from 2018. I really liked that album.
Yeah, I don't think I heard it.
Well, you can. It's on Bandcamp. So.
But what I like is that they have a consistent high quality in their music.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why they quiet for 20 years. But maybe
they had other things to do in their lives. Some people
or
do.
Maybe they had built a career in the art world. That we don't know.
Yeah. Perhaps. Let's leave it at this. I think we can listen to another track, Humbleness Before the Stairway, to conclude this talk. And in the meantime, let's see each other next week.
Next week.
Also listen to Thursday Afternoon Talks through Spotify and Apple Podcasts.